All right, so let's review our Chapter 1 skills. We're going to start on page 55. These are the type of problems you will have on your online practice test as well as your final test. All right, for numbers 1a through 1d, choose yes or no to tell whether the sum is even. Now, remember, if I have odd plus even, my sum will be odd. Odd plus odd will equal an even sum. And even plus even will equal even. When all else fails, if you can't remember that if I add an odd number and an even number, it's going to have to give me an odd sum, or that if I add an odd number plus another odd number, it has to give me an even sum. And when I add two even numbers together, it will give me an even sum. You can always just add and then look at the last digit and tell. And we should know that 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are odd digits, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 0 are even. Numbers that end in those digits are even. All right, so odd plus even, and we have to tell if they're going to be even. This is no. Odd plus odd, yes, it will equal an even number, 12. Even and odd, no, that would equal an odd answer, 13. Odd plus odd gives me an even answer. Okay, number 2. Select the number sentences that show the commutative property of addition, mark all that apply. So we will remember that the commutative property says that the order in which I add two numbers together will not change the sum. So 2a is not. That would be an example of just a number sentence. 8 plus 14, I have the same numbers, but 14 plus 8. So B is commutative property. C, I have 8 plus 13 plus 1 equals 8 plus 13 plus 1. I see the exact same numbers in the exact same order, but they are grouped differently. The grouping property is known as the associative property. So this one is not an example of commutative. 5 plus 9 plus 8 equals 9 plus 5 plus 8. So here we see that 5 and 9 are still grouped together, but they are in opposite order. This is an example of commutative property because nothing is grouped differently. All right, select the numbers that round to 300 when rounded to the nearest 100. Okay, so we're going to underline the place we're going to round to. We're going to circle the digit to the right, and that's the tens place in all of these numbers. If the tens place is 5 or greater, increase the hundreds by 1. If it's less than 5, keep the digit that's in the hundreds place the same. All right, so this one is less than 5, so I'm going to keep it 200. 250, 5 or greater, so increase the hundreds by 1. 283, 8 is greater than 5, so increase the hundreds by 1. 342, The 4 is less than 5, so keep the 3 the same. 359, the 5 is greater, 5 is 5 or greater, so increase the 100 by 1. So it's B, C, and D. All right, number 4. There are 486 books in the classroom library. Complete the chart to show 486 rounded to the nearest 10. So rounded to the nearest 10. The hundreds is not going to change. 10 is what I want to round to. So I look to the digit to the right. This is 5 or greater, so this increases by 1. So 490. All right, page 56. Write each number sentence in the box below the better estimate of the sum. And we want numbers that have a sum of 600 or 700. Okay, so round both of the add-ins to the nearest 100. So again, I'm going to quickly underline the place that I want to round to. Then I want to circle the digit immediately to the right. And if the digit that's circled is 5 or greater, I'll increase the digit in the hundreds place by 1. If it's less than 5, I'll keep the digit in the hundreds place the same. So 393, I'm going to increase by 1, the 3 by 100. 225, I'm going to keep the 200. So that, when I add those together, I get 600. So 393 plus 225. 352, I would round up to 400. 328, I would keep as 300. 400 plus 300 is 700. So that goes in the 700 box. So 352 plus 328 would be a better estimate for 700. 481, that would get increased to 500, and the 215 would round to 200. And so that would be 700. So 481 plus 215. And the last one, 309, would get rounded to 300, and 335 would get rounded to 300. So 300 plus 300, 600. And so I would write 309 plus 335. Number 6. Diana sold 336 muffins at the bake sale. Bob sold 287 muffins. Bob estimates that he sold 50 fewer muffins than Diana. How did he estimate? Explain. Well, to get 50, that seems like a number in the tens place. I'm going to try to see if they rounded to the tens. So I'm going to underline both digits that are in the tens place. I'm going to circle the digit to the right, which is in the ones place. 336 would get rounded to 340, and 287 would get rounded to 290. Now, is 90 taken from 340? 50. Let's see, we can count by tens, right? 90, 300, 310, 320, 330, 340. Yes, 5 tens, that's 50. So Bob rounded both numbers to the nearest 10. So 340 take away 290 equals 50. The table shows how many books each class read. Mr. Lopez's class read 273 books. Miss Martin's class read 402 books, and Mrs. Wang's class read 247 books. For numbers 7A through 7D, select true or false for each statement. Ms. Martin's class read about 100 more books than Mr. Lopez's class. So Mr. Lopez and Ms. Martin. If we round both of those numbers to the hundreds, Mr. Lopez's class read about 300 books. Ms. Martin's class read about 400 books. Is that a difference of 100? Yes, it is. 400 is 100 more than 300. The three classes read over 900 books altogether. Well, 270, 400, and we'll say that's close to 250. 0, 12, 4, 5, 9, 20. So yes, they did probably read over 900 books. Mrs. Wang's class read about 50 fewer books than Mr. Lopez's class. So again, we see this 50, so they probably are rounding to the nearest 10. So 273 rounded to the nearest 10, and Mrs. Wang's class rounded to the nearest 10. The digit that we circled is less than 5, so I'm going to keep the 7 tens the same. In 247, the 7 ones is greater than 5, so I'm going to change the 4 tenths to 5 tenths. When I subtract, I get about 20. So I would say no. Her class didn't read about 50 fewer books. They read about 20 fewer books. Ms. Martin's and Mrs. Wang's class read about 700 books. Ms. Martin, 402. Plus Mrs. Wang's class, 247. Well, if we round to the nearest 10, that's only 650. So I would say no, but that's false. Okay, so let's go on to page 57. Jana buys 2 bags of dog food for her dog. One bag weighs 37 pounds. The other bag weighs 15 pounds. How many pounds do both bags weigh? How many pounds do both bags weigh? 2 bags. One bag is 37. The other bag is 15. So 37 plus 15. How much do both bags weigh? That means to add. So 7 and 5 is 12. 12 ones I am going to need to regroup as 1 10 and 2 ones. So 3, 4, 5 tens. So 52 pounds. 37 plus 15 equals 52. Choose the property that makes the statement true. The blank property of addition states that you can group add-ins in different ways and get the same sum. Identity is something plus 0. So it's not that. Commutative tells me that I can change the order of the add-ins. So it's not commutative. Associative, also known as the grouping property, would be the right answer. Use the table for numbers 10 through 12. So we have Susie's sweater shop, and we have 3 months, January, February, and March. In January, 402 sweaters were sold. February, 298. And in March, 171 sweaters were sold. The table shows the number of sweaters sold online in 3 months. How many sweaters were sold in January and February? How many sweaters were sold? So they want an exact number. I don't see any clues about estimating. So 8 and one more is 9 ones. There's no need to regroup the ones. 9 plus 7 is 16. I will have to regroup the 16 tens as 100 and 6 tens. And now add the hundreds. We get 469 sweaters in January and February. Except that's not January and February, is it? I just figured out for February and March. So let's go back. So this is a good clue that we have to read very carefully. January and February. January was 402 sweaters, and February was 298. Okay, so now 8 and 2 ones is 10 ones. Regroup the 10 ones as 1 10 and no ones. 9 tens plus 1 10 is 10 tens. Regroup the 10 tens as 100 and no tens, and add the hundreds. 4, 6, 7. So 700 sweaters. How many more sweaters were sold in January than March? How many more sweaters were sold in January than March? So January 402, March 171. Okay. So we can use any of our strategies for subtracting. I'm going to, for this problem, I'm going to use friendly numbers. I'm going to change 171 to 170 by subtracting 1. That means I also have to subtract 1 from 402. And now as I'm looking at that, it really didn't change the problem much. I still would have to regroup the tens. So there's no need to do that. So let's not use friendly numbers. Let's just use traditional place value. 2 take away 1 is 1. I cannot take 7 tens from no tens. So I'm going to think of the 400s as 300 and 10 tens. And now I can subtract 7 tenths from 10 tenths. Leaves me 3 tenths. And 3 take away 100 is 200. So 231 more sweaters were sold in January. How many more sweaters were sold in February and March? So February plus March than in January. So I have a two-step problem here. I have to add February and March. Eight and 1 is 9. 9 and 7 is 16 tens. Regroup. The 16 tens is 100 and 6 ones. 200, 300, 400. All right, so in February and March, we sold 469 sweaters. In January, we sold 402. So as I look at these, there's no need to regroup. So let's just straight subtract by place value. 9 take away 2, 7. 6 tens take away no tens, 6 tens. 400 take away 400, 0 hundreds. So 67 sweaters. Okay. All right, move on to page 58. Number 13. Help Dana find the sum. All right. 6 and 1 is 7, plus 2 more is 9. We don't have to regroup the ones, so let's go to the tens. 4 and 2 is 6, plus 5 more is 11. We do have to regroup the tens as 100 and 110. And now let's add the hundreds. 4, 7, 8, 9. 919. Did we have to regroup the ones? No. Did we have to add the regrouped 10? No, there was no regrouped 10. Did we have to regroup the 10? Yes. And did we have to add the regrouped 100? We have one regrouped 100, so yes. Okay. Now, 14. Alexandra has 78 emails in her inbox. She deletes 47 emails. How many emails are left in her inbox? Draw jumps and label the number line to show your thinking. Well, 78 and she deleted 47. All right, so let's start deleting emails. If I subtract 7, I'd be at 71. 47, take away 7, leaves me 40. So now I can do jumps of 10s. I'm going to subtract 10 from 71, from 71, leaves me 61. 40, take away 10, I still have to jump 30 more. Take away another 10, I'm at 51. I still have to do 2 more jumps of 10. 51, take away 10 is 41. And if I take away another 10, that leaves me at 31. So let's see if I subtracted 47. 10, 20, 30, 47. So 78, take away 47, leaves me 31. 31 emails are left in her email box, or in her inbox. 15. Daniel has 402 pieces in a building set. He uses 186 pieces to build a house. How many pieces does he have left? All right, so that's my question. How many does he have left? That word there, left, means subtract. So he started with 402. And he used 186. So we can't take 6 from 2, but there's nothing to borrow here in the tens. So we have to go over to the hundreds. Think of it as 3 hundreds and 10 tens. And we can change the 10 tens to 9 tens and 10 ones. Okay. 12 take away 6, 6. 9 take away 8, 1. 3 take away 1, 216. Okay. Page 59. Number 16. Luke solves this problem. He says the difference is 214. Explain the mistake Luke made. What is the correct difference? Okay, so I'm going to have to regroup this. But this is a good one for using combined place value. 52 take away 48 is 4. And 300 take away 100 is 200. So 204. He came up with 214. Well, the only way to get 214 is to go 5 take away 4. So Luke didn't regroup the 5 tens and 2 ones as 4 tens and 2 ones. And, sorry, 4 tens and 12 ones. The answer should be 204. So let's show what he should have done. So when you look at the ones place, I'm going to assume that Luke looked at this and said, oh, I can't take 8 from 2, so I'm going to have to regroup. And so he changed the 2 to 12 ones. And then he went 12 take away 8 is 4. That's how he got the 4. But this is where he made his mistake. He kept the 5 and went 5 tens, take away 4 tens is 1 10. But remember, in order to get these 12 ones, he had to, in a sense, steal one of the tens from 5. Because 4 tens and 12 ones is 52. Okay, so that's what he should have had. And then he would have got 4 take away 4 is 0 tens, and then 200. So, number 17, Sunnydale Elementary School is having its annual readathon. The third graders have read 573 books so far. Their goal is to read more than 900 books. What is the least number of books they need to reach their goal? What is the least number of books they need to reach? So they're reading more than 900 books. 900 isn't more than 900. So we need a number that is 901 or bigger. So they've read 573. So again, why am I not going 900 take away 573? It's because they want to read more than 900 books. If I subtract it by 900, the number I'm going to get here would give me exactly 900. And so I would be off by 1. Okay, so can I take 3 from 1? No. And I can't borrow from the 10s, regroup from the 10s, so I'm going to think of the hundreds as 800 10 ones. Now I'm going to think of the 10 tens as 9 tens, and the 10 tens and 1 1 as 9 tens and 11 ones. Subtract the ones, 11 take away 3 ones is 8, 9 take away 7 is 2, 8 take away 5 is 3. So 328 would be the least. If you read only 327, it would be exactly 900 books. So they have to read one more than 327. All right, number 18. There are 318 fiction books in the class library. The number of nonfiction books is 47 less than the number of fiction books. About how many nonfiction books are there in the class? This looks like it would be a good problem to use for bar models. We know that there's 318 fiction books, and the number of nonfiction books is 47 less. So the nonfiction bar is smaller than the fiction bar, and so we have to figure out what this number is so that we'd have 47 less. And so we would subtract. And 8 take away 7 is 1. And 31 take away 4 is 27. So there are 271 nonfiction books. 318 take away 47 equals 271. How many fiction and nonfiction books are there in the class library altogether? So then we can use the addition bar model to show how many books are all together. Remember we said when the bar models are side by side, that means add. So fiction books, nonfiction books. 8 and 1 is 9. No need to regroup. 7 tens plus 1 10, 8 tens, and there's no tens to regroup. Regroup tens to add. We're not regrouping the tens. So 300 plus 200 is 500. So there are 589 books altogether. Okay, and the last page, or last two problems, 19 and 20. So in 19, Aaliyah used 68. That's not 68, is it? Aaliyah used 67 plus 38 equals 105 to check her subtraction. Which math problem could she be checking? Mark all that applied. So we know from our work in this chapter that we used addition to check a subtraction problem. And so it's 105 is what they're starting with. So it could be either one of those that they took away. It could be 105 take away 67, leaving them 68. Or it could be 105 take away 38, giving them 67. Either way, when you add them together, you're going to get 105. So is it 67 take away 38? No. Is it 105 take away 67? That is possible. Is it 105 plus 38? No, because they only had 105 total. 105 take away 38? Yes, that does work. And 20. Alex and Erica collect shells. The table shows the kinds of shells they collect. Alex's shells, scallop, jingle, and clam shells. Erica's shells, scallop, clam, and whelk shells. Who collected more shells? How many did she collect? And about how many more is that? All right, so who collected more shells? And how many did she collect? Well, the only way to figure out who collected more is to add up their totals. So let's add these together. I see 6 plus 5 plus 5, but I'm actually going to do 5 plus 5, which is 10, and 6 more is 16. I'm going to regroup the 16 ones as 1 10 and 6 ones. Now I'm going to add the 10s. 9 and 1 is 10. 10 and 4 is 14, so 14 tens. I'm going to regroup the 14 tens as 100 and 4 tens and add the hundreds. So Alex collected 246 shells. Erica now. I see that 8 and 2 is 10, and 8 more is 18. Regroup the 18 ones as 1 10 and 8 ones. 8 tens plus 2 tens plus 1 10. Well, 8 and 2 is 10. We just said that. So 10 and 1, and the regroup 10 is 11 tens. Regroup the 11 tens as 100 and 110, and add the regrouped 100 to the other 100. We get 218. Compare these. 246 is greater than 218. So Alex collected more. She collected 246. And about how many more is that? Well, let's round these to the nearest 10. And I would say they're about 30. She collected about 30 more shells. All right, in part B, Alex and Erica have the greatest number of what kind of shell? Okay, what kind of shell did they have the most of? Well, I look here, Alex only had was the only one who had jingles, so that can't be what they both had. And Erica only had whelks, so that can't be. So it was either clams or scallops. And when I just look at the numbers, the clams have 100 and 100. And the scallops, neither one reached 100. So the clams have to be the most. So I'm going to go 115 plus 108. Clams were the greatest number. And how many shells of that kind do they have? So clams were the greatest number. And now we're going to add those two collections together. 8 ones and 5 ones is 13 ones. Regroup the 13 ones as 110 and 3 ones. 110 plus 110 is 2 tens. No need to regroup. 100 plus 100 is 200. So 223 clam shells. Okay. And that's the story for chapter 1. So we basically learned several different strategies for adding and subtracting values. So you'll now do the online practice test. Make sure you keep your textbook close to you. Use the video I've recorded if you need help looking at the explanations. And again, you'll take a final test based on the textbook and your online practice. So make sure you get any questions that you're still confused about answered by me. And until then, I'll see you on your test day.